Okay, question number one. How do we do an experiment? Do we just measure both variables like in correlational research? No, right? Remember, in experiments, we have two variables called an independent variable, oftentimes just referred to as IV, and the dependent variable, DV. We must vary the IV, controlling everything else, and measure the DV, right? Let me repeat that. We must vary the IV, controlling everything else, and then measure the DV. So we vary the IV between our experimental group and control group, but we make sure that everything else the two groups experience is the same. So if there's any difference in the DV between those two groups, it has to be because of the varying of the IV, right? Because everything else was kept the same. Question number two. In a true experiment, how are participants chosen from the population you wish to study? And how are they assigned into those experimental and control groups? They are chosen from the population with random selection. Random selection. And they're assigned into the groups with random assignment. Random assignment, right? Two different terms, random selection and random assignment. Remember, when we say everything else must remain the same, that means our groups must be the same to begin with, too, right? So, say if our DV is GPA, both groups have to have similar GPA means to begin with, right? Random assignment is the only way to ensure that, because it assures that those with high GPAs and those with low GPAs will get split up about 50-50 between our two groups. So the group means will be similar to begin with. Now, question number three. Why are experiments the Cadillac of research methods? In other words, the number one most preferred methodology when possible. And the answer is because it's the only research that informs us about causality, the direction of the causal arrow. How is research misrepresented the most often in the media? The way media most often misrepresent research is inferring that the research was experimental rather than correlational, not necessarily saying it, just inferring it. For instance, headlines like this: research finds that having only one parent harms children's development. Notice it's saying single parents harm kids' development, inferring cause, instead of saying that the two are related. Often when we read a headline like this and look up the actual research, we find it is correlational research. So it doesn't indicate the direction of the causal arrow or control for socioeconomic status or many other known factors that are already known to harm children's development. Social psychology involves mostly what type of research? Experiments. This is true of most areas of psychology, with just a couple of exceptions, like, for instance, personality psychology. You may wonder why here at ASU, psychology is housed with the hard sciences, like biology and chemistry. It is not housed with things like anthropology, sociology, etc. This is because psychology is a science based mostly in experiments. Now, social psychology in particular is known for both highly stringent and highly creative experimental methodology. So we are going to explore a lot of very creative experiments over the course of this class. This concludes our research methods review. Note that your first exam, which will be your social cognition exam, will also include questions from this intro and research methods review. If you got all of these research methods correct, you are good to go. If you didn't get them all correct, we recommend that you replay this research methods review, pausing with each question until you do get them all correct. Our next topic will begin the social cognition section of this class, and it will begin with intrapersonal cognition, meaning how we think about ourselves.